What is up, guys? Jesse here with Adventure Endeavor, and today we have a maintenance video. The Ram 2500 3500 is a very popular truck for RVers, off-roaders, and overlanders. And today we're going to show you how to service your transmission if you have an automatic and you have the 68 RFE. One easy way to tell is the dipstick will be on the passenger side, and you can always verify with your VIN at the dealer just to make sure you have it right. According to my manual, this should be done every 60,000 miles, and it's a fairly simple process. I've done it once before. I'm going to show you all the parts you need. I'm going to link everything in the description below to make it easy for you to find, and then I'm going to try to show you a very detailed explanation of how to do this process so you can save yourself time and money. Ours is a 2016 Ram 2500 with the 6.7 liter diesel. All right, so here are all the parts that you will need. First and foremost, you will need your spin-on filter. We got a genuine Chrysler Mopar parts. So there's two filters in the transmission, a spin-on and then a flat style. I bought it in a kit. I think it was about roughly $80, and then it comes with a new O-ring which goes on this right here, but you want to install this O-ring up into the transmission first and then put the filter on to make sure this is seated very well in the transmission. Spin-on filter, pretty simple. Believe it or not, this transmission does not come with a gasket. So you're going to drop the pan to get all the fluid out and the filters, and then you're going to reinstall with RTV. So you're going to have to clean the pan very well, do a new coat of RTV, put it back up there. Pretty simple. And then here is the genuine Mopar ATF plus 4 transmission fluid. I did a lot of research and I checked with the dealer, and this transmission will take 6.4 quarts to do this job. So I ordered a 6-pack and then one more additional one just to make sure I had plenty. And we are obviously 4-wheel drive, so we just want to make sure all the parts are correct, corresponding with the correct pan, everything like that. First step, get yourself a creeper if you don't have a lift, which most homeowners don't have a lift. Get yourself a couple pans. It's going to be messy. You need to get yourself probably an extension and an 8mm. You're removing 15 bolts. Let me show you what it looks like underneath. So this is what the transmission pan looks like. You can tell it kind of has a step down. That's indicating that it's a 4-wheel drive. And here are your 8mm bolts. There is a total of 15. And as you can tell, my sealant was actually starting to fail a little bit and it was weeping. So it's a good idea anyways to get in here, remove everything, clean it all up, drop the pan. I'm just going to be using a simple ratchet here with an extension, kind of break them all free. They do not use a lot of torque, so it should be totally fine with a 1/4-inch drive. I basically took all the bolts out except for one on each side. Then I used a rubber mallet to break the silicone free. I just kind of tapped around all of the edges of the transmission pan, and then eventually fluid came out. And what I did was I took a tiny screwdriver. I did not pry. You never want to pry on a transmission pan, oil pan, anything like that. I was able to just pull it down slightly and just barely pressed the screwdriver in there basically to get the fluid to drain. I saw a lot of people online saying that it makes a huge mess because you have to just drop the pan altogether. You don't have to. I think I can get most of it out like this, and you have to do it this way because there is no drain plug, which is kind of a bummer. So here's one thing I like to do while the transmission pan is draining. I'll get a little jar, I'll put all my bolts in there, I'll put some brake cleaner in there, swish it around a bunch, and just clean these up so when you go to reinstall, there's no gunk in there, everything works nicely, you're not fighting it. That's just something, preparation, and you never like dirt with anything with motors. I had to use a pair of channel locks, just enough to break it free. Filter should come out, and just be careful because you'll probably get more oil falling. Do your best to contain it. typically will give the transmission side a very gentle sanding to make sure all the RTV is off. I typically will get with a really gently get with a razor blade, take off the major stuff, making sure nothing goes into the transmission. And then the last step will be to take a nice clean rag and some brake cleaner and clean the surface. Main thing is not getting anything into the transmission, and also making sure the surfaces are clean of old silicone, any gook, any fluid, so that you get a nice seal when you put the pan back up. We're gonna clean up all of this sealant all the way around the transmission pan and up on the transmission. You do have a magnet down there to catch any metal. There's some very fine stuff, but that looks quite all right to me, which is good to know. That's kind of the mess that I made. Not too bad. A little bit is right now just because it's dripping. Got our pan nice and clean. The wire wheel was money. I would highly recommend having a wire wheel if you can. And you can kind of see right here in this gully, that's where the bulk of our silicone is gonna go, and that's basically gonna make a gasket. So what I like to do, like I said, I'm not a professional, this is just how I do it. I like to put a little bit and kind of do this with my finger across it, a nice thin layer all the way across, and then I like to kind of have a bead in the center of this whole rim. And you know, we'll clean this surface up really good with some brake clean. The same with the transmission side. You want to make sure that's just as clean. And then here are our bolts that we had sitting in the brake clean. They're nice and clean, they're ready to go. Make sure there's no extra silicone on them. You don't want to have to fight with these to get them started. Alright guys, so I got it all installed with the new silicone, the new filters, and I tried my best to clean it up. They do recommend you to torque them to 7 to 9 foot-pounds of torque, which is not much. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can always do German spec, which is 𝗙𝗘𝗟𝗣𝗙. That always works pretty well. So it's basically firm, and do your best to do them evenly. So kind of get them all snug, right? And then you want to jump side to side, front to back, and you're jumping all the way around the whole pan so the thing seals as nicely as possible. Now all we have to do left is to go up top and add 6.4 quarts, or to where it says it's full and a nice safe position. Okay, so you're gonna be filling through the dipstick tube. So one of these little flexible quart or gallon size fillers is really nice, funnel, whatever you want to call it. It's flexible, so it's super nice. I'll try to link it in the description below. I cannot remember where I got it from, but I'll try to find a good one on Amazon. I love these things. What I'm gonna do is, I know that it takes 6.4 quarts. We added about a little less than a quarter of a quart into that filter when we put it up. So we know there's a little bit in there. Now we're gonna dump in 6, and then we're gonna kind of start up the truck, let it idle, and keep checking until it's in the optimal range. Alright guys, so that's it. I'm currently just idling the Ram in neutral with the emergency brake on, just to double check the fluid level. I went by what the dealer told me to get it close. I checked it when it was cold, because these dipsticks have a good spot so you could see when it's cold, and then they also have a spot to see when it's warmed up. Overall, job is pretty easy. You'll definitely save yourself some money, but you'll be investing your time. Hopefully this video really helped you out. Like always, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment if you have any question whatsoever. All the parts will be linked below, and we hope this will save you some time, some money. Here's something I always like to do. I like to just take the new part and the old part and make sure that they look exactly the same. You know, you can line up the threads, make sure the height is the same. You can check part numbers, but that's not too reliable. Overall, we're just kind of inspecting the new and the old, and then we're gonna put it back into place.